Well, hello everyone and welcome back to Before the Four. I'm digital host A.J. Wuest. Happy to bring another Before the Four to you this amazing Thursday afternoon. If you're new to Before the Four, you were just kind of scrolling around, don't really know what this is just a little live stream where I talk about WAFF's top stories before our evening newscasts. And this is actually the Friday Before the Four, technically, because tomorrow, I just want to say, there will not be a Before the Four due to U.S. Open coverage. There will not be a noon show tomorrow, there will not be a 4 o'clock show, and there will not be a 5 o'clock show. So I just want to put that on you all's radar. But other than that, I want to thank you all for spending just a little bit of your Thursday afternoon with me. If you're returning to Before the Four, thank you so much. I greatly appreciate it. And feel free to leave a comment right now if you feel led to. It will certainly not hurt my feelings. But anyway, I think it is about time we dive in to some of today's top stories. And of course, starting things off, it was a first alert weather day for heat today here and at 48 News, meaning it was a dangerously hot weather out there. It is certainly hot. So make sure you are all staying cool, certainly as we near closer to the weekend. And also make sure you stick around for the forecast to hear what 48 First Alert meteorologist Jeff DeNoyer has to say about this heat. And certainly speaking of the heat, 48's Matthew King, today he spoke with firefighters about their role during this extremely hot weather. So make sure you all stick around to hear what they have to say about that as well, because I'd imagine it is certainly not easy to be a firefighter, especially when it's hot like that. So he will be providing details on what their role entails during these summer months, and especially these Alabama southern months. Now, what are our other reporters covering today? Well, 48's DeQuan Lee, he spoke with Lawrence County DHR today on a story about a former foster kid donating his time and money to fix up the DHR office in Moulton. Super cool story there, so make sure you all stick around for that. As well as Aria Pond, she is doing a story about the recent increase of fentanyl and overdose in the Shoals. And I have a little bit of sound from that I'll play for you.
So fentanyl is a huge problem right now. It's taking people's lives every day. It's affecting people's family, and there's always going to be these types of issues. That's why we have to think outside the box and try to gather as much intel. This is all about gathering information.
Certainly an issue out there. But also make sure you stick around for tonight's newscast for an interview with Hayden Hill's mother, Sharon. Now, if you all remember, Hayden Hill is the 18-year-old who just graduated from New Hope High School. He was hospitalized while on vacation in Italy. Now, a few days ago, 48's Haley Baker, she spoke with Hayden's sister, and today she spoke with his mom. So make sure you all stick around to hear what she had to say as well. Well, it is Thursday, and you all know what that means. It means it is time for Crime Stoppers. Let's see who all 48's Gina Benitez and Huntsville Police need your help stopping this week.
Generators are expensive. Pull-behind generators are even more pricey. Huntsville police say someone stole one from an area apartment complex, and they hope you can help catch them.
This happened June 4th at 1010 Elliston. Investigators say the driver of this white pickup pulled into the parking lot and secured this generator onto the truck, then drove off. That generator worth some $20,000, so the owner and police want to catch this crook. If you know them or where any of the people we're about to show you are, you know what to do. This is Daryl Brown. Huntsville police say he stole several pieces of jewelry while house sitting for the owners. Brandon Gothard is charged with attempting to elude. Investigators say he led them on a chase and ran from his car after police stop-sticked his vehicle. Investigators believe John Dent stole more than $1,500 worth of merchandise from Belk's. He's charged with organized retail theft. Courtney Henson is charged with fentanyl possession. And police say Bernard Scott Lee is charged with sexually abusing children. Now, it's easy to earn up to $1,000 if you recognize any of these people. Just call 256-53-CRIME. You can also text or email your tips. For more information, visit the Crime Stoppers link on our website, WAFF.com.
Thank you, Gina. Certainly important to know about the crime that's happening here in North Alabama. So now in DeKalb County, a Georgia man is in jail after authorities charged him with electronic solicitation of a child. Now, Jihad Noman Saloom of Augusta, Georgia, was arrested earlier today in Fort Payne. Officials say they got a tip back in February about a 12-year-old girl who had been the victim of sexual solicitation through social media app Snapchat. After more than a month into the investigation, authorities were able to identify Saloom as the suspect in the case. Now, a warrant was issued for his arrest in May, and he was arrested in Tampa, Florida, and extradited to DeKalb County. He was booked into the DeKalb County jail on a $150,000 bond. Now, in recent news, in case you missed it, a super important and concerning story after Lauderdale County deputies recently arrested 19-year-old Dylan Smith for sending obscene photos of himself to a 15-year-old girl. Now, according to authorities, Smith met said 15-year-old girl on an app called Befriend. Yesterday, 48's Aria Pond spoke with Lauderdale County Sergeant Josh Kaysen on the dangers of these cyber apps like Befriend and Snapchat. Let's take a listen.
That shift from, hey, it's the creepy guy at the bus stop to it's the guy that's in mom's basement has nothing better to do than, sit there and get your stuff.
Lauderdale County Sergeant Josh Kaysen says the internet has made it easier for predators to form a connection with their victims through apps and social media platforms.
When we go talk to the schools, we always ask the kids, who has Snap, who has whatever. Pick your favorite app. Then it goes into who has the most followers or the most friends or whatever. The biggest thing we ask them is, hey, do you know who all these, we'll say 300 people are? Of course, nobody does because it's a random name that pops up.
Dylan Smith is charged with 11 counts of transmitting obscene material to a child and 1 count of electronic solicitation of a child. Kaysen says Smith met his victim on an app called Befriend and then exchanged numbers. Eventually, Smith did ask to meet up for sex, even though he knew the victim was only 15 years old. Kaysen says parents need to start by having a serious conversation with their children.
We need to talk about these threats to you, basically, and, I want you to know that if you make a mistake, you can come to me, or if you think you've made a mistake type thing, you can come and let me know, and we won't be mad at you. We need to get it fixed.
Kaysen says the best way to monitor their activity is to check what apps they're downloading or checking their phones every so often.
The best way is just, preventative maintenance. You just keep checking their stuff, kind of know what they're downloading. You can set their phones up to have to ask for them to download apps and that kind of thing. So in theory, you always know what's on their phone.
Thank you, Aria. Certainly concerning there. And another story, in case you missed it, a new Senate report is shining a spotlight on for-profit youth treatment facilities. Called the Warehouses of Neglect, the report talks about how taxpayers are funding a system of alleged abuse happening inside the facilities meant to provide care to troubled teens. Now, 48's Savannah Sapp recently did a story on this new report, and let's take a listen to that.
Sexual, physical, and verbal abuse, improper restraint and seclusion on young children, unsafe and unsanitary conditions, and even a total lack of provision of behavioral health care.
Those are the findings outlined in Warehouses of Neglect, a 130-page investigative report by the Senate Finance Committee into juvenile and residential treatment facilities across the country. Alabama attorney Tommy James was present on Capitol Hill to hear those findings himself.
What the report revealed today was systematic taxpayer-funded child abuse and neglect in these youth residential facilities in Alabama and all across the nation.
The report names for-profit companies like Universal Health Services and Vivant Behavioral Care, the parent company of Brighter Path in Cortland. The report claims the entities are profiting off residents by billing Medicaid and government agencies while simultaneously facilitating abuse, neglect, and providing subpar education.
Profit, 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 and that dwarfs all. And these kids, their future and what is going on and happening to them in these places, that's what needs to be addressed right now.
Just this past month, Brighter Path was cited for safety code violations after padlocking doors to keep children inside, while also facing multiple lawsuits with claims of physical, sexual, and verbal abuse for the children who should be receiving care. James is currently representing 3 former Brighter Path children.
It's sad because it does confirm everything that I've seen happening over the last 10 to 15 years in these facilities, and finally it's time, and I believe it's finally happening, for solutions.
Thank you, Savannah. Now in some state news. Our friends down there at WSFA in Montgomery recently did a story on a new bill about fighting crime here in the Yellowhammer State. Let's see what it's all about.
Scenes like this are happening too often. State Representative Reed Ingram says violent crime is a liability for Alabama.
It's time for us to stop mopping the floor, and we need to fix the leak.
Ingram and State Senator Will Barfoot are proposing a bill that would allow the Attorney General or Governor to appoint an interim police chief if there is a threat to public safety.
You need individuals at the top of at the food chain and on the law enforcement side that have the will to prosecute and the will to go after those criminals committing those violent acts of crime.
We would go in and take over the top position in the police department, work with the mayor.
Ingram compares it to a takeover of a school system. There are requirements before the state can get involved, including a police force that's down by more than 30%. Ingram mentioned Montgomery's reduced officer numbers compared to the Montgomery County Sheriff's Office.
Montgomery, it's not the mayor's fault. I don't want to say that it's the mayor's fault. I'm going to say they don't have the law enforcement.
We're dealing with a war zone right now.
Everett Johnson, president of the Fraternal Order of Police, believes this bill is a great approach and hopes it's a wake-up call for city leaders.
They are overworked, they're understaffed, they are going call to call and working beyond the environment that they can control.
We've got a problem in this state, and we want to tell the criminals, if you want to do that, you need to leave the state.
This bill would not go before lawmakers until the next session. That's not until next year unless the governor calls a special session. Ingram and Barfoot say they are not asking for one, but would be open to it. Sally Pitts, WSFA 12 News.
Thank you, Sally. Now another story out of Montgomery. Some doctors and patients are pushing to open up medical cannabis dispensaries, but the rollout of the substance has been brought to a halt. WSFA's Julia Avant recently did a story on medical cannabis access, and let's take a listen to that as well.
People who need this medicine still ain't got the medicine.
Alabama's doctors say their hands are tied. Lawsuits between companies wanting to open medical marijuana dispensaries and the State Medical Cannabis Commission have brought the rollout of the substance to a halt.
My patients bring it up all the time. When are we going to get it, doc? When is it going to happen?
At a meeting with patients and doctors in front of a cannabis clinic waiting to open in Montgomery, physicians from out of state spoke on how they're using the substance for good.
I've watched a mother give their child medical cannabis and the seizures stopped for the first time.
Louisiana doctor Corey Hubert says cannabis has been a successful form of treatment for veterans with chronic pain or PTSD. He adds the natural drug shows to not be addictive. Plus, unlike a number of drugs, a patient cannot overdose on it.
And every time I give a patient an opioid prescription, I feel like I'm doing harm. We have to have medications and options so people can still get the relief that they need.
One doctor mentioned that since 9/11, over 7,000 in the U.S. military have died in combat, while 40,000 have died by suicide. Doctors at this meeting say they can curb this problem with medical cannabis and help many others with chronic pain. Julia Avant, WSFA 12 News.
Thank you, Julia. Now, a second annual hot dog eating competition is coming to the Monrovia Community Center on June 22nd. Now, the contest will be a battle between the Monrovia Fire Department and the Madison County Sheriff's Office. However, if you're a spectator at the event, fortunately, you can compete as well. Proceeds for the event all go towards a good cause, Next Step Farms. Today, I got to interview 3 people involved in the event: Tasty's restaurant owner, Steve Middlebrooks, Next Step Farms owner, Robin Kramer, and the legendary local hot dog chef, Mr. Jeff Matthews. Now, this 48 Now interview has not been posted on our website just yet, so if you're watching right now, you get a little sneak peek. Here's a little of what Chef Jeff Matthews had to say about the hot dog eating competition. I got to shout out this awesome trophy that is right here. Can you talk a little bit about this trophy?
You know, the things you find online is pretty surprising. Just look up hot dog trophy, and nobody's got this. This came out of somewhere up north. We bought one last year. 2 came in. We're gonna and we've got some plaques as well. But it's a soft bun hot dog trophy for a hot dog eating contest.
And it feels real. I'm not gonna lie, that is awesome. So talk about like creating these hot dogs, like cooking them. What is your process of creating that perfect hot dog?
I've been cooking for many years. I cook best when I'm under pressure. Last year, Steve brought 800-900 hot dogs. Says, hey, cook these. The night before, I just said, I'm not sure exactly how we're gonna put this on. We have a big smoker grill, which normally takes a little longer. So we put them in pans, smoked them, had them all over the grill. Turned out really good. This year, we've stepped the game up, man. I've got a 4-foot by 5-foot grill. It's actually gonna be a grilled hot dog. We're gonna do 900, and I'm gonna put all 900 on the grill at the same time. Give them quarter rolls. They're gonna turn out fantastic. The hot dog eating contest, where people just come and they're on the trays, and it's just how many can you eat in 5 minutes? Pretty impressive.
Such a fun interview today. Now, that full 48 Now interview will be posted on our website, WAFF.com, early next week. But just a little thing you can do if you have nothing on your schedule here in the North Alabama area on June 22nd. And it certainly sounds like an awesome event. When I was interviewing them, they tried to get me to put my name into the competition. I'm not sure if I'm going to do that quite yet, but it is certainly tempting because I certainly love me a good tube steak. But now in sports, the Trash Pandas are back in town tonight until Sunday to face off against the Mississippi Braves due to unplayable field conditions at Mississippi's ballpark. Now, tickets are $10 throughout the weekend, and parking is completely free of charge. Now, there's not too many things that are free in this world, so when the parking is free of charge, that just sounds like a time and a half to me. So make sure you all come out to Toyota Field to support the Pandas. Also, 48's Cam Durr, she will be there at the game with live hits in tonight's newscast. You're just not going to want to miss it. Now, also in sports, some NFL news for you all. The Atlanta Falcons were stripped their 2025 fifth-round draft pick today for violating the NFL's anti-tampering policy. Now, this came prior to when the team signed quarterback Kirk Cousins. The Falcons and Cousins allegedly were in talks of a deal before the window opened up for the team to talk with players. Now, with addition to losing their draft pick, the team was also fined $250,000, and general manager Terry Fontenot was fined $50,000. The Falcons and Cousins agreed on a 4-year deal. It was a $180 million contract just after the legal tampering window opened. The Philadelphia Eagles were also under investigation by the NFL for a similar violation this offseason when they signed running back Saquon Barkley, but they were cleared by the league earlier today. Now, a national story in Indiana. One restaurant is facing backlash after a social media post from the owners that banned anyone under the age of 5 from coming into their restaurant. Let's watch.
Well, this is the restaurant, Plantastic Indie. It's located right near IUPUI's campus. You can see that it is closed today and tomorrow. Now, in that original social media post, the owner of Plantastic complained that customers were leaving dirty diapers from their kids on tables inside the restaurant and that moms were openly breastfeeding there.
Here's that post, which drew quite a bit of backlash from the public, prompting Plantastic Indie's owner to respond by posting this video on Facebook.
I am not against breastfeeding, for God's sake. What I'm against? Dirtiness. I want to eat in a place, in an establishment that's clean.
A dirty diaper on a table is very, very different from a woman feeding her baby in a restaurant.
Tamara Richardson with Circle City Birth Services says she can understand the owner's concerns about dirty diapers in a dining area.
Change your baby in the bathroom and try not to leave it around because that would be unsanitary. But again, breastfeeding and where we change our baby are two very, very different things. And they should not have been lumped together.
By law, women are allowed to breastfeed anywhere they are legally allowed to be, whether that's in public or in private. We asked the Marion County Health Department if a restaurant could be cited for a customer changing a child on a table in a restaurant. A spokesperson said they would intervene to make sure the restaurant's operator cleaned and sanitized the table, but would not cite the restaurant since it was the customer's actions. But a food safety inspector would likely document the incident for future reference. In an email to 13 News, the owner of Plantastic Indie said she did not ban breastfeeding mothers from her restaurant and said her original post had led to death threats.
Thank you. And finally, let's watch this awesome NBC story of two 90-year-old twin sisters still going strong.
This is Lori Hoots, and this is Lois Lasher. You can probably guess by looking at them, they are identical twins. If you can't tell who's who,
this is Lois, and this is Lori.
Don't feel too bad.
And this is Lori, and this is me.
They've been confusing people.
This is Lori.
Their entire lives.
At the bank, they can't tell us apart.
Even keeping track of them while shooting this story was a challenge.
I don't know who's who anymore.
I'm Lori.
What makes it extra tricky? Lori and Lois always dress alike.
I guess it's just like we always liked it.
This is Lois, and this is Lori.
These days, you won't often find one sister without the other.
We never do anything apart.
They were apart when they were first newly married, separated by about 50 miles. That was too far.
I would get real depressed.
Now they're together all day, every day. Roommates, sisters, and best friends.
We get along good.
They'll celebrate their 90th birthday together on June 16th.
Who's older?
I'm 5 minutes older.
5 minutes.
Lois never lets Lori forget that.
She thinks she's a boss.
That spunk might just be the secret to living such a long life.
These are geraniums.
Lois and Lori think staying busy helps too.
Keep moving, because we realize if we just sit down and do nothing, that it wouldn't be very good.
In the summer, they enjoy being outside, gardening, and mowing.
Cucumbers and tomatoes.
Lori's eyes are starting to fail a little, but Lois helps her see. And when Lois's arthritis acts up, Lori becomes her hands.
We get along real well.
Making this life twice as nice. In McCluskey, I'm Jody Kurzman, reporting for your news leader.
How sweet was that? That is super awesome. Now let's head into the stories you're just not going to want to miss. Now, the University of North Alabama new stadium groundbreaking, the upcoming Huntsville Juneteenth celebration, a Jackson County event today regarding women with PTSD, and the U.S. Senate voting on IVF access. These are just a few of the stories you're just not going to want to miss in tonight's evening newscast. Now, if you are returning to Before the Four, I think you know exactly what time it is. It is time for our normal Facebook Fun segment, and if you don't know what Facebook Fun is, you're in for a real treat. It's basically here at 48 News, we ask a question usually around noonish, 12, 12:30, 12:15, sometime around that time. And we ask a question and you all respond to it. And then I go in and I pick some of my favorite responses to said question. But without further ado, I think it's time we pull up today's 48 News question. And the question was, do you put eggs in your potato salad? You guys felt very passionate about this question, I could tell. We had a lot of really awesome responses, a lot of really good responses. So you made it very difficult for me to pick 4 of my favorite responses. But let's see what you all had to say. And for me to answer this question, of course you put eggs in your potato salad. I basically, if my mom puts eggs in her potato salad, I'm going to eat it. So I'm 100% for putting eggs in your potato salad. And yes, I believe my mom does put eggs in her potato salad. So let's see what you all had to say. Janice Terrell, she said, I used to, but not anymore. We eat at barbecue restaurants a lot, and they never put eggs in theirs. After I ate it that way, I liked it better. If I made it for my mama, though, I still put eggs in it because she liked it that way. That is so sweet, Janice. Very awesome comment there. But let's see who else responded. Linda, she said no. Interesting. But you can still bring me some. Okay, I don't really, the kind of potato salad I'm going to be bringing you is probably the kind at Walmart. So if you're in the mood for some Walmart potato salad, some not homemade potato salad, that is what my potato salad consists of. But yeah, I'm with you, Linda. You can come bring me some. I would not complain about that. But Linda, thank you so much for commenting. Christy said, no, she doesn't put eggs in her potato salad because she says that is egg salad. You make a fair point there, very much so. And thank you for commenting, Christy. And let's see the last comment. Elizabeth said, potato salad wouldn't be potato salad without the eggs. And, you know, I think I am leaning a lot more towards your comment, Elizabeth, than your comment, Christy, because I 100% think there should be some eggs in some potato salad. But Elizabeth, thank you so much for commenting. Well, that is just about all the time I have today with you all. I want to thank you all for sticking around with me, spending a little bit of your Thursday afternoon with me, and watching Before the 4. If you haven't done so already, make sure you download the 48 Digital app, turn on those push notifications, and get the breaking news delivered directly to you. And the same goes for the 48 First Alert weather app. It is certainly heating up out there, so make sure you are all staying cool this weekend. Remember, there will not be a Before the 4 tomorrow, so I hope you all have an amazing weekend. But with that, that is all the time I have, and I want to thank you for watching. You all have a great weekend.